How are we doing, guys?
Hey Miguel, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Doing great.
Good. You still have 2 feet of snow up there, Carl? Or you good?
No, I'm good. I can get a motorcycle out of the driveway again.
Well, you could have done that in 2 feet of snow. I know you. That wasn't going to bother you.
I'm getting a little soft in my old age.
Yeah. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Well, let's hang out and see who else shows up. Give it a couple minutes. And if you would, in the meantime, though, if you could, and by the way, I'm McGilla NER. My name's Mike, but McGilla NER, and I help run NER. And Ken has been gracious enough to do these track days and offer these track days for folks. Um, and we've just had a huge success with it in terms of the amount of things that people have learned from this, the amount that people have taken away from the track, and even people like myself who've been riding for 40 some odd years. I typically still go twice a year. This year I'll only be able to go once, but I still get something out of it, every single time. And so if you would, in the chat, if you would, one, put if you've ever been to a track day before, and then if you have, if you're signed up for this one, or whether you plan to sign up for this one, would be helpful, just so we can kind of see who we have. And then as we go, what we'll do is if you have questions, if you'd stick them in the chat, and then I can kind of feed them to Ken, as we go, um, so that it's things are somewhat orderly for having 30 people in a room. So
Um,
for those of you who just came in, I'll introduce myself again. My name is Mike. I'm McGilla NERs. I help run New England Riders. And so what we ask people to do is to just in the chat, if you would put, if you've ever done a track day before, and secondly, are you signed up for this one, or are you planning on signing up for this one, so we can kind of differentiate, who's doing this. So,
Yeah, I'm reading your chats, your comments. This is what I expected. Most of you have not done it before, which is about half of the attendees typically are new. They've never done it. So you're in good company. Some people have done a few track days. Cool. Some of you are already signed up. That's great. All right. So certainly this is for those of you who have never done a day and you're signed up or you're thinking of signing up, and we want to answer all your questions as best we can. I do have a document on the website that covers a lot of these FAQs. It's in the link. There's a link that says FAQ. I think it's called like a online classroom. It's sort of you go through the steps, and it's just there's no test, but it gives you a kind of a way that you can on your computer take your time and go over the stuff we're going to talk about tonight. Um, but I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. And those of you who have done a day before, I'm really curious to hear if you can give a testimonial, hopefully a positive one. But we're always open to improving because I've been doing this. Will be my 11th year doing the non-sport bike training days. So we've certainly refined it. We've added a couple things. Those of you who were here did do the day last year and the year before. We added this little slow speed maneuvers drill session during lunch. We've refined that even more and making it simpler because the first time we did it, we bit off too much. We were trying to give you guys more information that was really you were able to really handle and then to also do the track riding and the classroom. So anyhow, we're simplifying that. Some folks signed up. Good. Okay, so Tim says he thought the FAQs were very good. Okay, so that gives you another source is go to the website ridinginthezone.com. And you'll see under the non-sport bike training day page, there will be it's a pretty big text hyperlink that you can click and it'll bring you to that. If you're already signed up, there's another one that is sort of a preparation. So the first one is just about what is this thing? I've never heard of it before. And that'll answer those questions, which we'll go over that tonight. And then anything beyond that, those of you who have signed up, if you have questions, some clarifications, happy to do that too. Um, so yeah, just so you know, that's another thing for you to follow up with, um, again on the website. Okay, so let me just pick up my pen. Let me just start with sort of what we do, and some of this you guys will know, some of it you won't. See, I'm looking
Hey,
at
Ken, why don't you
yeah.
start with who you are?
Oh, don't you know? Yeah, you know who I am? Yeah, no, those of you who don't know who I
Half the
am.
time you don't know who you are.
Yeah, right. I had to ask Mike, like, who am I tonight? So yeah, Ken Condon. Those of you who do know me, I've been running track days for 25 years with Tony's Track Days, which is now Cyclesmith. If you ever hear that name, that's who we were. Was Tony's Track Days now is taken over by Paul and Carrie, and they're calling it Cyclesmith. And they are the regular track day group. So anyhow, so I've got two books, Riding in the Zone. My website is Riding in the Zone. I wrote for Motorcycle Consumer News for 14 years and for Motorcyclist Magazine for 4 years, writing the skills and safety column. Um, and the books are skills and safety oriented. And I also do street training and advanced parking lot training, which I have spots open for that. My street training is, I think, almost all full. Um, and that's on-street coaching, real-time coaching. But that's all on the website too, ridinginthezone.com. Does that suffice, Mike?
It does.
All
Yeah.
right.
You're not
Very
just
good.
that old guy with the glasses and a
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah. Right. Um,
Anyone else help you out, Ken?
say again. Hey, Gino. Oh, Gino. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I
Gino.
also saw that John Calandri is here too. So Gino is one of our instructors. He's been with me for how long, Gino? Have you been helping me out, working with me?
Since 2006.
Yeah. So yeah, Gino's been around a long time and he's been an instructor. They're all volunteers and Gino has been at every one of them. I believe, is that right, Gino? You've been at every one of them, right?
I think I may have missed
You
one.
missed one.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Mike's keeping track.
Yeah.
Just one.
Got the
Yeah, just
scorecard
one.
here.
Yeah. So like I say, all the instructors, they're all volunteers and they do it because they know the value of what we offer, the service, but they also just love to help people, to get better at riding. Because I mean, John Calandria is here too, and he's been a lifelong career of being a motorcycle trainer. And John, you there?
I am.
Hey, say hi.
Hey, hey. So yeah, I dug back in and did the non-sport bike day with my son, who was 17 at the time. I can remember reaching out to Ken and saying, "Hey, he's got a little DR 200. Do you think that would be okay for the track?" And he said, "I think it would be okay, except I don't know if it would make it up the hill at turn 4."
Yeah, yeah,
So we got him a little bit something bigger, and he had so much fun, and I remembered why I realized I had no idea why I had stopped coming to the track and being around these great guys.
yeah.
So I
And you're
came back, and yeah, it's a dangerous, slippery slope. Just so you guys know up front.
Yeah,
You're
these
gonna love it.
thanks, John. I mean, John brought his son last year and he really improved tremendously, didn't he, John?
Yep.
Yeah, his confidence just skyrocketed. So let me just hit on the fact that a lot of you know what this is. Some of you have already, got an idea of what it is. And these are training days that we used to call them non-sport bike track day. And that tended to, turn people off. Like right away, they say track day. Well, I don't want to race. I don't want to ride on a racetrack. Really, that's not my thing. And because all you can really think of is just going fast in competition. So just as far as just renaming it to have it be more appropriate for what the event is now it's the non-sport bike training day. And that's that's really what the focus is here. And you hear me at the beginning of the day, the riders meeting, talking about the attitude that we really need you to come in with, that this is a training situation. It's a training opportunity that allows you to go as fast as you safely can. There's no speed limits on a racetrack. But the whole point is that it is for you to increase your skill and your confidence. And if you are riding at a pace that you're really not processing of the what we're teaching you, what we're wanting you to learn, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And not only that, you're just, if what you're wanting to do is just go out and go as fast as you can, you're missing the point. And so that's where the culture that we've developed over the years has been that when you come to the non-sport bike days, that you're coming for a particular reason. So you're out of sync with what the rest of the group is doing if all you want to go out there and do is just go fast. So that's really not the point at all. That said, like I say, if you want to challenge yourself, I mean, speed does bring out the sort of weaknesses, and it also allows you to sort of put into practice some of the skills that we do teach and that we share with you, and to go out and to do it in a way, in a manner that allows you to stretch yourself a little. That's fine. And sometimes that is speed related, but it certainly doesn't have to be. When I'm teaching people on the track or the street, I'm looking for competence and proficiency, and that is not about speed at all. It's about precision. So you do the skill well, and speed is not a factor. It's just not, doesn't matter, So the speeds
The
that you'll
speed
be
is
going, what's that?
speed is a byproduct of your skill set.
Correct. The speed will come. Don't chase speed. Speed will feel that you're going slower than you were when you didn't know the skill, but you're actually going faster just because you're able to apply these techniques, and that naturally will lead to, more comfort, and speed tends to come with it if you want it to. So that attitude thing is really important, to the point where if you're riding any more than 70, let's say 80% of your ability, you're not learning. All you're doing is trying to get around the track, and you're not able to really process the lessons that we're sharing with you. Because how the format is, which we'll talk about, is that it's classroom and then ride. So the classroom is introducing trail braking and the nuances of trail braking, for instance, one example, and vision and braking techniques, cornering lines, all that stuff. We talk about it in the classroom, and then we give you an assignment, and then you go out on the track, and that's what you put it into practice. Because knowledge doesn't make you a better rider. It certainly is one step, but applying that knowledge is what makes you a better rider. So that's the beauty of this opportunity, is that it's practical, and it's also, got a classroom component to it. So, and then Q&A, you're always asking clarification. You go out, you practice the thing, you come back, Gino and John, they're like, how'd that go? And you're like, well, I was a little confused about this. In turn 4, I felt like I was a little wide, and then so they can answer those questions and they can clarify. I want to make it clear, though, this is not personal instruction. When I have a full day, a full event, there are 30 people on the track at a time, maybe 34, I think 33. Um, and they're in 3 groups, so only 33 on the track at a time. It's a 2.3 mile track, so there's plenty of room for those amount of riders. But that with the instructors, you might only have 2 or 3 instructors with your group. So it's a 1 to 10 ratio. So you're going to get your questions answered in the classroom. That said, we will be circulating around. So you're going to see John and Gino and Paul and Kevin and Cassie and everybody else who's going to be out helping us. They'll have jerseys on and they'll be circulating and tapping the tail of their motorcycle if they want you to follow them. So then you're going to get your own little follow the leader session, or a couple laps. So that's just how it goes. So don't come thinking you're going to get private instruction, but you are going to get the components that really, where most people are able to leave, with eyes wide open going, wow, I thought I knew how to ride. We hear that all the time. So let's just go back to logistics a little bit. That with the attitude, we're going to do. We talk about that. I'll reiterate that at the welcome meeting and the rider meeting that we have first thing in the morning. The way that the schedule goes is that you would show up at 7, and then we're going because the gates open at 7, and most people, 98%, ride their motorcycles there, so they're not trailering. Some people do, but people show up, they ride, um, they tape up their mirrors, and they might take the teddy bear off the backrest and get the bike ready so that there's not unnecessary things on the bike, and that we don't want you looking in your mirrors. So you either fold them in or tape them over, and that's pretty much it. And then you come in line, and we just look over, get you registered, and we look over your bike. And if you have any questions, we kind of answer those. And then you go off and you wait, and then we do until we do the riders meeting at 8 o'clock. When we do that as a whole group, and then you separate out into your 3 groups and you meet your instructors. They answer more questions if you have them. And then at 9 o'clock, we're on track. So, and that on track for every group for the first hour is follow the leader. So we're not just letting you loose. You're going to be following instructors for the whole. There'll be 20-minute sessions. So there's 3 groups. So in an hour, there'll be 3 groups, so 20 minutes each. And you'll be following an instructor that whole time, just to get yourself used to the track, that you learn that turn 1 goes right and turn 2 goes left, and then there's another right. And then you also get to see where the corner workers are, where the flags are, which will get you all acclimated to what those all mean, because the tracks, the flags have their meaning. And it's the sort of thing that just gives you a warning that there's something around the corner. So the follow the leader sessions happen for the whole hour, every group, 20 minutes each. And then you come off the track and you go in the classroom. And then we start our classroom sessions. And then again, like I said, you're in the classroom. You'll then take the time between your classroom and the time you get back on track to take a break. You'll have 15 minutes or 20 minutes to be able to get a drink of water and relax and kind of talk to your friends, who you're parked next to. And then you'll go back on track, and then rinse and repeat throughout the day. So as far as any logistics about parking, is you're going to come in the gate and under the tunnel. This is Palmer that we're doing this, Palmer, Mass. And you're going to pretty much just find a place to park, because there's a lot of just along the edge of the road. There's a pavement, so just find a spot, and we'll kind of help you if you're lost. No problem there. There's always somebody. I know Mike oftentimes is sort of stationed to help folks park. And if you want to take your bags off, your side cases, that's fine. That's optional. It's really up to you. Some hard cases are easy to take off, and some aren't so easy. So it's really up to you. You're riding a motorcycle like you rode there. It's still pavement and whatnot. So the fact that it's on the track means that we have the opportunity to have a little bit more control, which means that things that like GPSs and things you don't need, let's take them off. Okay. Just because, let's keep it as controlled as we can. We don't want any risk of anything falling off. Not that it would, because you probably rode there, 200 miles, but still, if it's easy to take off, take it off. But the bike has to be clean, as in clean, no, nothing leaking. Good condition overall. You show up with a bike that looks like a rat bike, you're going to get a little bit more scrutiny than if you show up with your bike looking pretty good and clean. And of course, tires have to be in good shape, and, just general maintenance. It doesn't have to be anything special, just a good, solid, motorcycle. All right. Nothing to worry about there. So again, back to the schedule, we'll be kind of doing that. When you come in, we'll do the riders meeting after you've parked and done your little tech inspection on the bike. And then we'll go through our schedule throughout the day. At lunchtime, I think we're going to start, we'll still do noon lunch. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to make the announcement here with you guys, and then I'm going to send an email to everybody, but that we're not going to be buying you lunch this time. My insurance went up threefold this year. So for me to not raise the price of the track day, I needed to do something. And so the sandwich that you got the last couple of years in the bag of chips, there's going to be a lunch wagon there, and it's the same lunch wagon that we use on the normal track days because on normal track days they don't buy you lunch either. And I think it's like $10. So bring a $10 bill, or it might be I don't know, they might have raised their prices. I haven't heard yet, but no more than like $12, and you'll get and actually it's pretty good food. So plan on that. And I'll make a formal announcement about that, but you're the first to hear that. Um, I just had to start getting insurance through the track this year, and whereas last year I was able to kind of get it a different way. But anyhow, that's just how things have gone, huh? Everybody knows that. Okay, what else? Let me stop for a second and just see if there are any questions. Let me tell you what I'm going to be talking about though, before, if you have a question about anything particular, I'll just let you know what's going to be covered. So then you can maybe save your question for that. We'll be talking about certain things like, just passing. I want to talk about passing because a lot of people get concerned about that because I get, a lot of folks wondering about sharing the track with other people. Talked about the schedule. Fuel is something that you should show up full. There's gas stations in Palmer, so just show up as full as you can. If you absolutely need fuel, there is a fuel pump there, but it's very expensive. It's race fuel, and you don't really want to do that if you can help it. But if we have to, we can. We can open up the pumps. Um, One thing also, a lot of you know about the BMW MOA Foundation Scholarship. That's something that applies to this. If you apply for it, there's the link on my website, ridinginthezone.com, or you can go to the BMW MOA. That I will give you a certificate if you email me after the event. So you have to do the event, and then you have to show proof that you paid for it. And then I give you the certificate, you submit that in, and then they reimburse you. That's how that works. But I'll go over all that stuff the morning of the event. Um, let's see. What else do I want to talk about? Your riding gear. We'll talk a bit about that. I'll do that right now. Just again, this is the preparation thing. So there's FAQs about just what is this thing? It's a training event, happens to be on a racetrack. You're going to learn all about techniques that will apply to street riding, and we'll talk about those specific techniques in just a second. Um, just making a note. So anyhow, your riding gear, if you haven't looked into that, we basically want you to be in street gear. It's fine. You don't need full race leathers and all that. That is absolutely fine. That's what we expect. We're even letting folks use Kevlar jeans if you don't have riding pants. It's not my favorite thing because that they do okay, in a slide, but you want to be as protected as you can be. That said, I don't want you to feel as though you have to spend, a few $100s on riding pants just to make this event. So, so a lot of people have Kevlar jeans. You do need the armor, so you need the knee armor. Okay, that's important. You need to protect yourself, and this is for you. It's really, I also have to, just insist on certain level of standards for ATGAT, all the gear all the time. You do need a full face helmet. It can be a modular flip up helmet, but it always has to be in the down position when you're on track. You need to have full gloves that cover your wrists, gauntlet gloves. Um, Boots they don't have to be motorcycle specific, but they do have to cover your ankle fully. And laces have to be completely, out of the way. You have to make sure that that is not an issue. When we see work boots, it kind of makes us cringe a little bit because we tend to really want to also have a little positive peer pressure that you maybe up your game and get yourself motorcycle specific protection. That's because it just kind of really brings up not only the protection but the comfort and it's designed for riding a motorcycle. There's a lot of reasons for considering upgrading your gear. When it comes to jackets, you need to have, mesh jackets are fine. Most of them have solid material in the impact areas, and that wasn't always the case, and now it pretty much is. So we need to make sure that you've got armor in the shoulders and the back protector. is not 100% requirement, although I think I'm going to change that. I'm going to make that a requirement. Nowadays, back protectors come with jackets. If they don't, they're pretty cheap to get. Um, so you just want to get yourself so that you are protected, okay? Because you're the one that if you tip over, you want to make sure that it's just a get yourself up, brush yourself off, get back on your bike, and let's go, right? Um, Speaking of that, we will talk about that whole thing, which I'm sure I mentioned the word crash, and you're like your hair just went on fire. We haven't had anybody fall in the last 3 events, and that's over, that's 300 plus people. So you don't have to crash. Crashing is definitely not part of
Not
our
mandatory.
It's not mandatory. Matter of fact, it's pretty rare. And we have an ambulance sitting there in case something happens. We haven't had the ambulance roll for, I don't even remember last time it rolled. So anyhow, Mike, you've got some questions for
Yeah,
folks?
there's some question around whether camping is going to be available the night before.
I was told no, sorry.
Okay.
That I'd have to pay extra for that because there's
Okay.
security around that. So yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately not. Uh, New England Riders typically has a little. You guys doing any sort of organized thing?
Yeah,
At the
we'll have
lantern?
dinner at Janine's Frosty, the night before.
Yeah,
There's plenty of little motels to stay around there. Honestly, if you'll just look at the town and look for motels, it's pretty reasonable. I think the Copper Lantern is, $100 or less.
yeah,
So there's plenty of little places to go,
yeah,
kind of along the way.
yep. So I wish I could let you in and camp, but track says no. Um,
Ken, another question for you. Somebody asked about short, non-gauntlet motorcycle gloves. Are they allowed?
no, I need you to cover your wrists, and I'll tell you why. Because if you were to fall, unlikely, but if you were, people fall with their arms out typically, and you've now exposed your wrist. So, because I don't care even if your jacket is overlapping, once you extend your arms, it's going to open up this area here. So we have to have full coverage. Luckily, gloves are the cheapest thing that you'd have to upgrade to get, coverage. I actually, I won't say that. I won't. Don't count on this, but I have a couple of gauntlet gloves sitting in my trailer that are just, cheapo gloves. That if somebody accidentally showed up without the proper gloves, I'll give them these to you if they fit. But literally, I mean, this is something that you should have anyhow. I mean, if you're riding at all in temperatures, even just talk about comfort. Like today, I mean, I had my gauntlet gloves on just for comfort, so I didn't have wind, going up my sleeve. So, I mean, everybody should have a summer glove and another spring and autumn glove, which is a gauntlet. So, yeah, I need the coverage to answer your question. Anything else, Mike?
That's it for now.
Okay. Um, Let me see. Okay, so riding gear, did I cover everything? Boots, pants, jacket, helmet, like I say, yep, and gloves. So it's pretty much your street riding. When people show up in an arrow stitch, you're all set, right? As long as you got the gloves and the boots and the helmet.
That's all right.
Um, so that's pretty much it. It's nothing dramatic. You might talk to somebody who's a friend of yours, who's had a friend of a friend who's done a track day, and they're like, "Oh no, they insist you need full leathers or you need, all this stuff." This isn't a normal track day. This isn't your regular track day. This is a training day, and we expect you to be street riders, and that we're just happen to do this training instead of on the street or in a parking lot. We're doing it on a track. It's still pavement. It's what we want is just to train on the surface that we ride on. The beauty of the racetrack, and let me just hit on this, is that um, it's a controlled environment. It's the safest place you can ride. I'll tell you that, and I will tell you that it's not even arguable. It is the safest place you can ride. There's no teenagers on cell phones. There's nobody coming the other direction. Everybody's going the same direction. There's no sand. There's no oil. There's nothing like that. Um, so because if there was, everybody gets off the track and they go out there and clean it up. So it's the safest place you can ride. The reason that people even fall at all is because they push their limits. They're going over their limits. And that's really where things, where you can increase your risk is purely in your control. The one thing that, again, a lot of people are, like I mentioned before, are anxious about is sharing the track with other people. And when you first get on the track and you don't have your mirrors, because we want you to have your vision forward, that's really there's nothing to learn about knowing who's behind you. I wrote a whole thing, an article, and also I think I did a thing that, that was based on track riding, which was there's no need to have mirrors on the track. Because if you think about it, why do you have mirrors on the street? And it's only really if you are wanting to change lanes, or if you're looking to do something that you need to make sure it's safe to do, like change lanes, or to slow down, or to, you know, make a turn or something like that. That's what they're used for. But on the racetrack, that's not how you do it. You don't change lanes. You stay on your line. Other people who are going to pass you, they're the ones who diverge from the line, from the lane. They go into the passing lane to go around you. And the difference between the track and the street is that the passing lane could be on your left or your right, depends on the part of the track. But there's nothing that you do, even if you had mirrors on the track and you looked behind you and you said, "Oh, there's somebody back there. What are you going to do different? Get out of the way?" That's dangerous. No, you just do your thing. It's like skiing. If anybody's done any skiing, you don't have rear view mirrors in your when you're skiing typically. So you just do your thing, and it's the passer's job to get around you. So that's how it is. There's no need to have mirrors. And we don't want you looking behind you either, because your job is just to do your thing. All right. So knowing that, then folks get anxious. Well, I'm holding people up. I don't want to be going too slow because other people are going to be pissed behind me, or I'm holding them up. That's not your business either. You do your thing. All right. Now we try to get people in the groups. We have the three groups that are a faster, an intermediate, and a slower group. More times than not, that's also based on the type of bike. So if you're on a big Harley bagger, we tend to put you in the slower group because the bike itself won't really, it has its limitations. And so we kind of, that's one criteria that we go on, even if you might have be more experienced, but we might still put you in there because of the bike, not because of you. But that it still ends up, we try to do as best we can about getting like skill level people and speeds matched as best we can. But that's an imperfect science. We do the best we can. Uh, let me see. Okay, so Mike says we've got some more questions. Let me stop and let's do that.
Yeah. Somebody had asked about over the ankle motorcycle sneakers with D30 armor.
So those make me cringe too. We've let them happen, that we've let them pass, but they're really, think about if a motorcycle were to land on your foot like that, that's why they're not very good. They're really, and the D3 gives you some impact protection, but they're not great. But that said, I've been allowing them because they're legit. They're legit. Motorcycle footwear, but they're just not offering the type of protection that I would personally rather have you be wearing. So, what else we got, Mike?
About adventure bikes with 50/50 tires, is that a problem? And before you answer that, I'll actually say that I've had my Super Tenere on the track quite a few times with 50/50 tires on it with no problem at all. Not as much grip, but that, based on the tires that you have. And I just never had a problem with it.
Yep, that's the answer. Don't worry about it.
Same.
Yeah, and yeah, John's done it for sure. Yeah, and actually, I think Tony went out there on knobbies once. So, you ride to the limits of the bike, and that's something that you learn actually is that when um, you want to have obviously tires that are good and give you as much grip as possible. That gives you a margin of safety. But we all have times when we're in even on a road that's a little bit sandy or something, and it's important that you learn the limitations of the environment and also perhaps of your tires. So if you are on 50/50 tires, don't try to keep up with, say like Mike on his RT, and he's got some, really nice sport touring tires on. You wouldn't expect the tires to do the same thing, right? Same with the motorcycle. if you're on a bike that's, heavy, a big bagger, and you're in the same group with somebody who's on, say, you know, a BMW GS, right? That your bagger is just not designed to do what the GS will do. So just understand that it's an important lesson is for you to know the limits of your bike. Now, back to the racetrack is that the limits of the environment when we're street riders is significant, right? We've got traffic, we've got sand, we've got solar glare, we've got all sorts of issues like that. On the track, we might have solar glare, but on the track, we don't have all those situations. So the environment is not the limiting factor the way it is on the street, which is why the track is the safest place to ride. Um, it is literally going to be such a controlled environment that you can focus on your riding and including how do my tires feel. So the lesson is there. It's an opportunity. So you're not having to watch for left-hand turners across you in intersections and all that stuff. You can focus on your technique and the feel of your motorcycle. And a lot of people leave also saying, "Well, I thought I knew how to ride, and I really learned so much today." They also say, "I didn't know my bike could do that, what I did today." So that's another huge lesson.
Ken, can we speak to rain and also rain gear?
Yeah. So no extra charge if it rains. And why we say that is that that's such a huge opportunity to learn. And so, but we do it rain or shine to answer your question about that. And that doing this in the rain is actually, like I say, you're actually getting a bonus if it does rain. Now, I'm not talking pelting rain and all that, but a wet track is a really great opportunity to really up your skills. That said, we of course hope for dry weather. And as far as rain gear goes, it's just like the street. Wear your rain gear or wear whatever you wear when it's raining out on the road. You might say, "Well, I've never ridden on the track or I've never ridden on the road in the rain." It's like, well, this is a great place for you to learn, you know.
Let
Uh,
me let me speak to only because somebody brought it up. Somebody had mentioned a rain poncho. You'd likely be a parachute going down in a rain poncho. So something a little tighter to your body than a rain poncho would be great.
yeah. No, I mean this is motorcycle gear. What we're doing on this event is nothing different than you would do on the street. You try a poncho on the street, same thing's going to happen. It's going to shred, and it's going to it's going to balloon up. It's going to be horrible. You're going to have to just pull over and take it off and throw it away anyhow. So don't, get real gear. Yeah, get real motorcycle gear when it comes to that, or like I say, or some jacket that's waterproof. To be honest with you, you're going to be out on the track 20 minutes and then you're back in the classroom and you'll have plenty of time to warm up and all that. So if you do get a little wet, it's probably not a big deal. So,
I'll give you a newcomer's thing, which is you think 20 minutes on the track isn't much until you go do 20 minutes on the track.
yeah.
It's an adrenaline rush. You are just at the highlight of excitement out there. And believe it or not, by the end of the day, after doing 20-minute sessions on the track, you'll be exhausted. Uh,
Yep.
and it's a good exhaustion. It's a
Yep.
great feeling at the end of the day. But I say that to you only because I think when I first heard 20 minutes on the track, I'm like, geez, that's not a whole lot of time, at a time. But trust me, when you're out there for 20 minutes, it'll seem like a lifetime sometimes.
Yeah.
And especially when you're trying to learn new skills and you're trying to do different things with your bike than you normally would do. It takes a lot out of you mentally. So I think that's important. Ken,
Yep.
somebody else had asked about helmet communication devices and whether you use them or not. I'll let you answer that.
No, we don't know, and we won't want you to have them on your helmets either. Now, remember, this isn't personal instruction. I mean, the helmet communicators I do with street training and actually the parking lot too. But no, on the track, this is not that. Um,
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one. One instructor to 10 riders.
yeah,
Yeah, how that
yeah,
communication gets
interesting.
across
I'm
2.0.
talking these, yeah, right. Everybody turn left now. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's not part of it. And yeah, the focus is really think about it as simply as this, is that it's classroom. We talk about the curriculum, which I'll kind of run over a little bit, let's just say trail breaking. All right, you know about trail breaking. Okay, well, we've got a few corners here that are going to get you to really up your precision and to practice it. And the beauty of the racetrack, this is the other part of the racetrack, besides it being the safest place to ride, is that you get to repeat the corners every couple minutes. And that a lot of people who are like iron butt travelers or they like travel to sightsee, they're like, why would I want to do that? Well, this is training. And to be able to revisit a corner every 2 minutes is like unbelievably great because you screw up the corner once, you get a chance to come around and fix it and do it better. And when you're talking about a specific technique, there are certain corners that really force you to apply, like say trail breaking technique. So we're in the classroom, and Gino and John are like talking to you about the nuances of trail breaking and answer the questions that you probably have or clarify the myths that you've heard. And then you go out and you practice it, and very specifically keep your mind on the idea of doing this technique. As well as they're going to throw a couple other things at you, perhaps like, increasing your vision and, angle of view and your vision distance and things like that. So you'll have a couple of things to work on, but not too many because I think there's 6 classroom sessions and 6 track sessions. I think it's 6. It might be 7. And 2 of those are follow the leader. But anyhow, that's the curriculum is classroom, ride, take a break for 20 minutes, come back to the classroom. And so you're on the track and you immediately come to the classroom after the track. All right, so that's how that goes. Yeah,
Just wonder if you wouldn't mind. I just wanted to add on to the 20-minute thing that Mike brought up. I had the same exact thing. My first time I did a track, I'm like, only 20 minutes? Like, what the heck? And at the like 18-minute mark, I'm like, oh man, I got another lap.
yeah,
So if you're getting in the day, don't not pull off the track if you're getting tired or if you're starting to make some mistakes or things just aren't stitching together for you. Come in at 15 minutes or 10, if 10 minutes. If it's not right, get off the track, recharge, veg a little bit, and then go out of the next session. It's not, it's going to cost you nothing in skill. You're going to be fresher the next session, but so many people won't come in until they run the flag, and
yeah.
you're not learning. You're going backwards because you're tired and you lost your focus. So
Yeah,
don't.
and a lot of that goes to like what John just said is that focus, that stress riding, that takes the energy right out of you. And so if you do find yourself getting in stressful situations in this course, you're doing it wrong. You cannot go in at 110% thinking you're going to learn something. So you're going to have to back it up a little bit, readjust, ask some questions, figure out what's going on, and then reapply. And like Ken said, you're back on that corner a couple minutes later. What did you do wrong? Correct it.
Yeah.
Try to take that stress away from you.
And the
Because if you
corners.
don't, it's going to be a long day.
And the corners are very forgiving. The track is very forgiving. You might totally blow the line all the hell, but you're still on the track. It just didn't go like you thought it was supposed to go in your head. So it's not like it's only this wide. So you've got and you're only at a speed. There's guys going way faster than I'll ever go around that track, and they're doing it fine. So yeah, don't get in your own way in this stuff. Let it
Yeah,
work.
and it's not unusual for people to, especially on a hot day, we don't know if it's going to be hot. It won't be for the first event for sure. Is that by 3:30 they come to the last classroom and then they're like, you know what, I'm not going to ride the last session because they're just tired, and that's respecting your limits. We talked about the bike's limits. We talked about environmental limits. You have your own personal limits too. We want you to respect those. We respect them, so I hope you will respect them too. Um, so let's talk a bit. Actually, there's another thing I wanted to bring up was that we do a second follow the leader. So that first hour, we're going to do a follow the leader for every group for the full session. We're going to repeat that after lunch. And this was something I introduced a couple years ago, and it's gotten good feedback, and it gets everybody back on track, literally and figuratively, where you can easily get let me put it this way. The first follow the leader session is the first hour. The next hour is an open session, which means that instructors will be out there, but you're not going to be following them. You're going to take, it's going to be you on your own with the rest of the group out there circulating around. And so you're going to start to apply the techniques we're talking about in the classroom and all that. But you can also then start to forget how to go through turn three, for instance. And so we kind of gather you all up again after lunch and we do another follow the leader session. And it gets everybody kind of like, oh, yeah, right. I'm glad you did that because now I remember how to go through turn three better. So that's something that really helps out. And again, you can kind of hopefully get a feel for this. This is all about just easing you into this process and trying to hold, really um, facilitate, a learning environment that's got very little stress. The stress that comes through it is essentially from the adrenaline of being excited. And everybody gets anxious, and if you're anxious about it, you're normal. If you're not anxious about it, you might want to see somebody about that because you've got you got a nut loose. Because people are anxious about it because it's an exciting thing. It's the first time you've done this sort of thing, and it's like, yeah, you should be nervous. But once you get there, you'll realize, oh man, hey, John, I know John, Gino, they're all helping you out. And here's Mike, he's helping you park. And then we all go to get together and do the meeting. And it's all this, everybody's in there for fun. There's no competition or anything like that. It's all about learning. So you'll learn that very quickly. If I'm not able to convince you of that tonight, you'll learn that very quickly as soon as you come out under the tunnel into the track. Um, is there anything else, Mike, that's right now? Otherwise, I'll keep going.
No, I don't have any questions right now, but I will say that the instructors on the track, um, being able to follow them or have them follow you, as Ken said, it's not private instruction, but they give you great feedback, and especially if you ask them, if you say, you know what, I keep blowing turn four, and I can't figure out what I'm doing, if you're out there and you see me, take a look and let me know what you think I'm doing or what I could do better. And they're just the friendliest group of people you ever meet in your life.
Yeah,
Other than Gino, he's a pain in the ass.
the pain in the ass. Yeah, well, uh,
You would have been upset if I didn't say that, Gino.
Exactly, exactly.
which just brings up a huge thing because of the ratio of instructors to participants. Um, if you ask, they will answer. All right. Now they may not be able to give you, too much follow the leader set time, but if you ask them, they will arrange to like, all right, meet me out at where we get onto the track, and I'll give you a couple laps. Let me follow you, and then we can talk later. Again, logistically, it's kind of a challenge. So don't expect, too much from it, but they can just ask. I really hate it when people afterwards say, "Oh, I wished I had gotten, somebody to follow me." I said, "Did you ask?" "Oh, no, I didn't want to ask." Well, you know, you won't get unless you ask, because just the logistics of this whole thing. Now that said, Mike said, is that you might get an instructor come by you and then tap the tail section, and that's asking you to follow them. So then you're going to get a couple of corners or maybe a lap where you get to follow them privately, personally. If an instructor passes you and you're out on the track and they don't tap their tail, pay attention to what they're doing. All right. And don't try to keep up with them because they might be, moving along quicker than you should try. But pay attention to them. They're actually out there riding the perfect lap every time because that's what they do. And you can learn from them. All right. Well, let's talk about a couple of the techniques. And a lot of folks say, well, I don't want to race. I don't want to ride. I don't want to learn how to ride on a track. Uh, and they also might say, how do these techniques apply to street riding? And so I'm going to address all that. First of all, we're not teaching you how to ride on a track. We're teaching you street techniques on a track. All right, that's the difference. The track is just the vehicle. It could be a parking lot. It could be the street. This happens to be a racetrack, and the racetrack, again, is the safest place for us to train you. Um, so the techniques that you're going to learn, and there some of them are going to be things you're going to leave with a lot more confidence, not necessarily because of a particular technique, but because you've put these techniques uh, in your toolbox that you will have available to you at any time now. Like the benefits of trail braking, for instance, for safety on the street are numerous, but we want you to take the opportunity on the racetrack to practice it so the physical skill comes into your muscle memory over time, but that it's a place that you can implement, the correct way to do it. And we'll talk about the benefits of it. Um, but that once you're out there and you're starting to break into the corner the way we want you to and the way you should, it's going to be, remember again, you're going to revisit every corner every 2 minutes. And over 20 minutes, that's 10 laps, right? Or give or take. So you'll be able to do that corner 10 times in one session, maybe 8 times. It depends on how fast you go. So understand that that gives you the opportunity to go, oh, I didn't quite get that right. Let me hold the brake a little bit longer this time. Oh, okay. Now I get it. And if you don't, that's when, you know, um, you come into the classroom and you ask Gino or John directly, you say, listen, I tried this in turn 4 and I just didn't feel right. They're professionals. They know, how to answer that question and say, I bet you what you're doing is this. So next time you go out, hold the brake a little longer or a little less brake pressure or whatever that solution might be. And you go out and you try it the next session. One thing that is one of the most important techniques that you leave with is a sense of how much you can get your motorcycle to slow from a high speed to a pretty slow speed with some good authority. And we're not necessarily talking about emergency braking like somebody pulled out in front of you, but this is a skill that will lead to more confidence in you being able to get the bike stopped in case somebody pulled out in front of you. And how that happens is that you're going down the straightaway, and people probably have questions about this. How fast do people go? Well, in the corners, almost everybody goes around the corners about the same speed. I don't care who you are. It might be, a few miles per hour difference. But that even applies to experts, that the corner speeds aren't that much different. It's really about how deep you go in and how early you come out. And then it comes down to the straightaway, then would be the answer. Like, well, how fast do you go on the track? On the straightaway, you can go as fast as you really want. As long as you can get yourself slowed down for the turn 1, you can go as fast as you want. Now, here's the trick, though, is that a lot of people aren't very comfortable with using their brakes with any real authority. And that's a real danger on the street. And that's something that, again, you imagine going around the track and you get 10 laps or 8 laps in a session, and you go down the straightaway at 100 miles an hour and you have to slow down to 40 miles an hour for turn 1 every time. You're going to start to get more and more comfortable using your brakes, with a certain amount of authority. And you can learn to do that and kind of carry the brakes a little bit deeper and a little deeper, so you need a little bit more brake force. And that's what you're doing to increase your confidence, and you're building your comfort level by getting to the edge of your comfort and then pushing a little bit past it. Don't go crazy. You never want to get to a point where you're freaking out because you're not learning. You don't learn when you're anxious. But you want to push yourself a little and go, wow, that I've never braked that hard before. Good. You got another lap, brake a little bit harder this time. I guarantee you're not going to get to the point of where you're exceeding your tires, unless you're really a ham fist, in which case, don't do that. One of the things we're going to teach you also is about just the benefits of being smooth and soft, but firm and with authority with your braking. So every time you come down the straightaway, and if you carry your brakes a little bit deeper and you use them a little more firmly, and you still get to turn 1 at 45 miles an hour or whatever it is, that makes you that feels safe. That's training. That is putting that into your muscle memory that you can't really very easily do on the street. That's not an easy thing to do, and not to do safely anyhow.
Hey, Ken, quick question for you.
Yep.
If somebody is so excited that they had signed up for August, but now they can't wait and want to do May, can they switch?
You can switch. You can switch, but also remember, you can if you want to do both days, you get a $50 discount. Remember, so uh, if it's $350 for each day, it's $325 for each day if you buy both days. And I will honor it if you add a day. Like right now, you only signed up for May, and you want to add July, the end of July. I will honor the both price. We can but email me before you do that so that I can do that because we can't do it through the website. Um,
Ken, can you speak to our GoPros as well mounted?
yeah, you can have GoPros, but you have to have them tethered. And because those plastic mounts, they break. Trust me, I know. So you have to have a secondary tether that's going to guarantee that if that plastic mount breaks, that it's going to hang from your bike and not end up being a projectile. Imagine me taking your GoPro and chucking it at your head at 100 miles an hour, and you know what we're trying to prevent. So, yes, it's fine, but we're going to double check to make sure that thing is on there. And that's your job to make sure it's good. Because otherwise, if Gino has to look at it and go, yeah, that's not good enough, you're going to have to do this and that. It takes a lot of time and effort. So make sure that you find a way to get that thing to be attached in at least two ways. Okay. Um, yeah, and Gino answered a question about the taping. The only thing you have to tape is glass. Okay, which mirrors you tape or you remove. Um, Not only for the glass situation, but also for we don't want you looking behind you. Um, but otherwise, you don't have to tape anything. You don't have to disconnect your brake light. No, you just basically drive off, ride off the street, and take care of your mirrors, and you're good to go. Okay. Again, as long as the bike is liquid tight and with good condition tires and everything looks, good. Um,
The other thing I'll say about taping your mirrors is that if you forget painter's tape, that's typically what people use as painter's tape because it comes off easy at the end of the day. But everybody shares, helps you out, whatever. It's a very friendly group of people. So if you forgot something or you need a hand with something, people are great about helping.
yep. Yeah.
Except for the staff members in line.
Yeah, we're jerks. Yeah. I'll make sure to bring some blue tape just in case. But if you come prepared, boy, life gets a lot easier. It really does for everybody. You'll feel less stressed. And then you show up, we're like, hey, it looks good. Go give yourself a coffee and relax and wait till the riders meeting.
Good. Build on that. What you're talking about with the front, this like the straightaway speed. Ken,
Yeah.
my son, I'm talking as a dad of a client, of a customer and a student now. When my son did this class, he was 17. He was pretty new rider. He had only a couple hundred miles on him and a BRC, and he did he did 2 days with me and had a great time. And we went out for a ride in the Catskills in New York. And we were coming down from Hunter Mountain. If you've ever been down through there, if you haven't, you should, because it's beautiful. And there's some really nice, windy, twisty spots, a couple of hairpin kind of looking turns. And he's on the communicator with me. He said, this is so great. He said, I'm so confident in my front tire and my brakes right now because of the track, because of that front straightaway and really starting to give command of those brakes and really pushing them, pushing things, incrementally lap after lap. Yeah. When he said that to me, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
winning, like
Yeah.
winning as a dad.
Yeah.
And this is good stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very real. And it was, a proud moment for me to hear him calculate that out and recognize and attach those two events.
And
So,
that's significant hearing about John's son because it's easy to see the benefit of a training like this for them because they don't know really much, right? And then they leave knowing so much more. You might ask, well, I've been riding 30 years. What am I going to get out of this? Well, here's the thing is that, yeah, I mean, a lot of you guys are going, yeah, you know what I'm going to say is
I'm
that you
gonna
don't
pull
know.
you along.
You don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And I don't know anybody that I've worked with who's ridden even longer than I have, 50 years, and that don't leave going, wow, yeah, wow, that was quite the education, you know. And what it
here's a
is,
secret. We all volunteer and get to ride around the track and learn and improve ourselves every session.
yeah. And that's
The selfish part of this, guys, is we get to do it all the time too. And we get more skill.
it's
So
just a constant thing, you know. Your training is perishable. I mean, over the winter, it's gotten softer, it's gotten weaker, it's kind of gotten a little moldy, and this all kind of helps you get back up. But it's the sort of thing that when you do it and do it regularly, this is another thing about. Now, this might sound like a sales thing, but try not to think of this as a one and done thing. This is something that you continually come back and you're going to solidify your skills this way. If you think of it as a one and done, you're going to learn a lot, but I guarantee you after a couple years, that's all going to get kind of soft and you're not really going to be 100% sure whether you're doing it right again. So really consider, if not this event, really keeping your training pretty, tight. Keep it going. Um,
Ken, a quick question about tire pressure and managing tire pressure on the
yep,
track.
yeah. So your street tires are fine. Your street pressures are fine. Once we start talking about more performance riding, then we do typically have you reduce your rear tire pressure, but you keep your front tire pressure basically the same. And the only reason we do that is that, well, why not? Because you'll get a little bit more margin of grip if you reduce your tire pressure in the rear. In the front, you're not really going to gain that much, so don't worry about it. But for our purposes, just keep your street pressures, it's really fine. I mean, if you want, like 45 pounds in the rear, it's pretty, you're putting that kind of pressure in there to for longevity of your rear tire. And that's not really your priority when you're on the track. You want to have, good traction. So that's the argument for reducing your pressure some, but don't reduce it much. You still need to support the weight of that motorcycle. And a lot of your bikes that you bring are going to be, big tours or baggers or something. And so they need the air pressure to just support the weight. So basically keep it the way it is, the way you wrote it in. If you want to reduce it by 5 pounds, fine. It's up to you. And then just, you'll want to air up again, at some point on your ride home. Don't overthink this. This is literally us out riding, okay?
Mhm.
And I just want you to be safe. So your gear might have to get upgraded a bit. You might want to put better tires on if you're on if I'm not better, just new tires. If you're on the starting to hit the wear bars, that now would be a good time to do it. Some people,
Please, please.
yes, please. Uh, some people say, well, am I going to wear out my tires in a day? No, you're not going to wear out your tires in a day. I have worn out tires in a day, but they've been race tires on a crazy abrasive track and I'm going at expert speeds. So no, for you, you will not be wearing out your tires. They will look pretty badass at the end of the day because you're going to
Naughty.
be cornering and they're going to get kind of melty and really kind of cool and your chicken strips might disappear. So show those off. But no, your tires, it's gonna take, I don't know, I don't even know what to say. You're gonna be doing over 100 miles or so of track time. Maybe it's gonna take 300 miles of rubber off of your regular street riding. Maybe. Don't worry about it. That's nothing. It's not,
Oftentimes, a lot of people will show up and, I'll be looking at the tires and like, oh, I was going to change it after the track day.
yeah,
That's the wrong
yeah,
thing you want to do because the profile of the tire is not smooth and rounded, so you're going to be incurring abruptness throughout your turn. So if you're thinking about that right now, get the tire now, and you'll be much better off being able to feel that motorcycle in the curves.
yeah. And it's fine if you've got worn tires. It's fine. We want them to be at least 50% of their life left, at least. But like Gino mentioned, your profile is the thing that changes, and then you're kind of not getting the optimum handling that you would have. And that's what the track is. It's about cornering. This is really, I mentioned braking, which absolutely you're going to increase your brakes confidence, but it's really about cornering skill. And the trail braking part of it is cornering and braking combined. It's going to be also talking about our cornering lines and your throttle response and timing and your vision. Those are all the things that we cover during the track day, and they're all the things that I teach when I'm teaching on the street or in the parking lot. It's just all the same. So all those things get covered. Now, if you have a bike that's a nice neutral handling bike because it's got relatively new tires, that's one less thing you're having to kind of contend with. So. But again, show up with your tires as long as they've got at least 50%, um, of their life left. You're fine. Don't worry about it. We're looking for safety, not perfection. It's just we want to make sure that your bike is going to be, uh, be a bike that's going to facilitate your learning and not be a distraction. Um, Let me see. What else? We covered quite a bit
Passive,
here. Anything else you guys have?
Talk about passing.
Oh, passing. Yeah, yeah, right. So when it comes to passing, I mentioned about the mirrors, that your business is to just do your thing, which is to do the correct thing, which we talk a lot about being online and being having the proper cornering lines. These are lines that also I teach on the street. They're optimum lines. They get it so that your bike is pointed to safety, not toward the edge of the road. So the timing of when you turn in and things like that are components of that. If everybody's understands the line that we want to be in, which is to be like this particular corner, you want to be to the right edge of the track in this part, and the left edge of the track in that part. That's what the follow the leader session is for. It also there's a concept behind it that we want you to be able to look at any corner and go, oh, yeah, I enter wide, I come in toward an inner part of the corner, the apex, and then I exit kind of middle of the road or middle of the track at the exit. That's it. That's essentially it. So then if everybody's doing that, then you're predictable. So being predictable is the number one thing for safety and not making any adjustments. You're just this. This is you. If I'm trying to pass you and you start moving this way, I don't know what's going on, right? You do your thing, I can get by you. That's how it goes. And passing can happen. We'll talk about passing. There are some passing opportunities, but they're limited. There aren't that many. Certainly the straightaways, but then you're drag racing. There are better ways of passing, but sometimes some folks want to only do 80 miles an hour down the straightaway. Okay. Some people might want to do 70. Okay. You want to do 100? Well, that's easy. You're just going to go around them. You're going to look well ahead and you're going to pick the left side or the right side, and you're just going to smoothly go right on by them. And then done and done. And those of you, here's the thing I wrote about when it comes to passing is that as motorcyclists, we're not used to being passed. Am I right? We don't get passed typically on the street, right? We do the passing if there's any passing at all. But on the racetrack, you're going to get passed, and you're going to be passed by other riders who are wanting to go faster than you. That means absolutely nothing to you. It's just that if you're doing your thing, they go by you. It's their responsibility. You do your thing, right? You go at the speed you want to go. Now there's somebody talked to me recently and said, "Oh, I'm a newer rider and I'm really anxious. I've never gone over 50 miles an hour." And I said, "Yeah, well, I don't really want you on the track if you can't at least go 65, 70, 80 would be better, because then we're more or less kind of all, in the general area of speed that hovers around the 100 miles. Like the fastest riders are probably at 110, if that. And that's the fastest group. So if you're looking at 80, you're fine. It's nothing. There's not a big mismatch there. It's fine. We're all going in the same direction. So don't worry about it. You go as fast as you feel comfortable. And as the day goes on, you might want to try going a little faster because then it's going to require you to brake a little harder, and that's training. You do that for the right reasons, and that's going to help you feel more confident. Um, what else? I need some
Okay,
questions.
nothing else, Ken.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, John's talking about you need
We're
to
at
come
like
to the
10
Alps.
past 7, so
Yeah, that's good. Yep, that's fine. I was hoping this would be just right around now. So if there are any other questions, you can always shoot them off on certainly on Facebook. I'll open a discussion on the NER site. I think most of you people are New England Riders people. And then we can do Q&As on that, and then everybody benefits from your questions. If you have a question that you just want to shoot me, it's Ken at ridinginthezone.com, and I'm happy to answer them. I know a couple people have already signed up. I just got a couple of orders um, during this talk, so that's great. I have space for another 20, 30 people, I guess. I'm trying to remember. Um, so now's a good time to sign up. The weather's getting good, and people will start signing up. Oh, a couple of other things people are asking about was um, garage space, and there's a pavilion. That's all done through the track. If you want to guarantee yourself some shade, or if it's to rain or whatever, you've got a garage or the pavilion. that all gets ordered and arranged through the track. And I do have a link. They only just now released that link, so I'll find it again and I'll put it on the website, and you just contact them directly. Okay. All right. If there's any other questions, like I say, Ken at ridinginthezone.com. Really appreciate you all coming. Look forward to it. This is such a fun event. It's why I do it. It's just such a benefit for everybody, and it's just so much fun. Tell your friends because I do need this thing to kind of, I have a minimum number of people that makes it worthwhile for me to do this. And so far, we've been doing fine, but my overhead is just skyrocketing. You have no idea how much this costs me to put on an event like this.
That's all the money you're paying me, Ken.
Yeah, yeah.
Paying you all what you're worth, Gino.
Yeah, yeah. So anyhow, yeah.
One more serious note. If you are worried about breakfast, the breakfast at the track, and I come from downstate New York, the egg sandwiches that these guys make, one of the best egg sandwiches I've ever had.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot coming from where I grew up.
Yeah.
Really impressed. So, yeah, don't worry about breakfast.
Yeah.
Primo sandwiches available.
Yeah, just bring cash. Like I say, you're going to end
Yeah.
up having to buy your lunch too. So, like I say, it was $10 before for a full lunch. It might go up to 12, and I think the breakfast might be 10. I don't forget what the sandwich is, but really good. It's actually, quite good. So, all right. Okay. And again, if you want to revisit things on the website, there's that link for the FAQs. And those of you who've already signed up, there's that preparation link as well. And that'll kind of give you a couple more, just reiterating more about what we've talked about. Okay. All right. Thanks for
Ken.
coming, guys. Tell your friends. Take care.
See y'all in May.